it was not supposed to end like this. The Packers walking off disappointed in an NFC title game at home. Tonight on Sunday Sports Night Cover 2, we break down the loss and go on the clock. The coach let people down. The quarterback will if he's not back next year. Plenty to ponder on Cover 2, and it starts now. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Sports Night Cover 2. For the fourth time in 7 seasons, including the last 2, the Packers come up 1 win shy of a Super Bowl. It was supposed to be different this time with the NFC Championship game played at Lambeau Field. Instead, it was the Packers' performance that was different today from most of their games this season. Bailey Burmaster begins our Cover 2 coverage tonight. Bailey?
Chris, when the Packers look back on this NFC title game loss, there will be a lot of what-ifs. In some games, there's that one play that haunts you. In this case, with the Packers down 8 and facing a 4th and goal from the 8, head coach Matt LaFleur sent out Mason Crosby for the field goal, instead of giving surefire MVP Aaron Rodgers one more shot at the end zone and an opportunity to tie the game with a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, anytime it doesn't work out, you always regret it, right? But it was just the circumstances of having 3 shots and coming away with no yards, and knowing that you not only need the touchdown, but you'd need the 2-point. So the way I was looking at it was we essentially had 4 timeouts with the 2-minute warning. And, you know, we knew we needed to get a stop. And I thought we were going to have a stop there at the end, but, you know, we got called for the PI, and it didn't work out.
So how did QB1 feel about the decision during the game?
Well, I didn't have a decision on that one. Yeah, that wasn't my decision, but I understand the thinking above 2 minutes with all of our timeouts, but yeah, that wasn't my decision.
The offense had their opportunities. Corner Jair Alexander had back-to-back picks, and the offense turned it into nothing.
Had some chances, obviously. Like I said, you know, we had the ball there with all the momentum and just kind of needed 1 first down. I think to get going, we just didn't get it, which was disappointing.
I felt like we had plenty of opportunities tonight to take advantage of and get the job done, and we didn't do it, and that falls on me. And you know, that's a tough pill to swallow when you're responsible for everybody in this organization to make sure that you're on your A game. And I don't feel like I was tonight, and I just pretty disappointed that let a lot of people down.
The Packers talked about playing consistent in all phases of the game for the better part of the regular season. Down the stretch, that's what they were doing. However, lots of inconsistent football tonight. This is a type of loss that stings for weeks and leaves a fire in the belly come next season. However, next season is still in question for a few players like Kevin King and Aaron Jones. Chris?
All right, Bailey, thank you. Well, Aaron Rodgers now 1-4 in NFC Championship games as a starter. Now, to suggest the 4 losses in a row, including today's, are his responsibility, that'd just be foolish. It's a team game, win or lose. But there is a big question now hanging over the Packers team tonight, and that is, will the presumptive MVP return to the team in 2021? Dave Schrader continues our coverage tonight. Dave?
Yeah, Chris, Aaron Rodgers thought this was his best shot at a Super Bowl so far with an NFC title game at home, finally. The soon-to-be 3-time MVP was obviously feeling the weight, though, of reality at the finish line tonight.
I'm just pretty gutted. You know, it's a long season. You put so much into it to get to this point. This one definitely stings and is going to for a long time.
But as painful as the loss was, there seemed to be extra uneasiness from Rodgers about the team's future.
I'm gutted for Big Dog, and obviously I'm hurting for myself. Mason, some of the older guys, Tremont coming back. But it hurts for those young guys too. Yeah, just the uncertainty of it all is so difficult, the abruptness. You know, so many futures, a little gray right now. So it's you know, it's definitely sudden.
You could chalk all that talk up to knowing about the team's free agents to be like Aaron Jones, Corey Linsley, and others, but there was more ominous talk.
There's a lot of guys' futures that are, uncertain, myself included. That's what's sad about it most.
Could Rodgers really be talking about this somehow being his last game in Green Bay? It seems insane.
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't. There's a lot of unknowns going into this offseason now. And I'm going to have to take some time away for sure and clear my head and just kind of see what's going on with everything. But it's pretty tough right now, especially thinking about the guys that may or may not be here next year. There's always change. That's the only constant in this business. It's really tough to get to this point. Really, really tough. Especially with it only being one bye week in the playoffs. It's a grind just to get to this point. And that makes the finality of it all kind of hit you like a ton of bricks. That's why it's a gutting feeling in your stomach. Always be thankful for this season.
Hell yeah. He better be back here. He's our leader. And, just so appreciative of him buying into what we're trying to get done around here.
Rodgers has talked in the past of wanting to play into his 40s, and the MVP to be saw the team draft a QB last spring, but would the team possibly want to jettison a star at the peak of his powers? 48 touchdown tosses this year, the most of Rodgers' career. And would Rodgers somehow want out? The team has locked up for him David Bakhtiari for the long haul and has his good friend Devontae Adams for at least another year. We all know there will be cap casualties thanks to COVID, with the expected $23.5 million dip in the team's cap calculus. But while Rodgers' cap number will be $37.5 million next year, the team would only save $6 million by letting him go. Could they possibly trade him? That seems crazy. But then again, his trade value would never be higher. There's just so much craziness to unpack, but it seems hard to imagine him being anywhere but with the Pack next year, Chris.
All right, Dave, lots to ponder there. And still more to break down tonight. We'll go on the clock with Jason, Rob, and Mark, and what happened at the end of the first half. Hear from the coach in the secondary on that touchdown blunder going into the break. And welcome back to Sunday Sports Night Cover 2. Beautiful shot, poor ending today. Matt LaFleur said hindsight is definitely 20/20, but what could have been? It's very hard not to think about this, but what could have been had the Bucs not scored right before the end of the half? Let's revisit. Will Redmond dropping what sure looked like could have been an interception, and then the defense allows the Bucs to convert on 4th down, and that sets up the long touchdown to Scotty Miller with 1 second remaining on the clock. Miller just absolutely ran by Kevin King, who had no help but certainly needed it. So the question, were they in man or zone?
Yeah, it was man coverage. Definitely not the right call for the situation. And you can't do stuff like that against a good football team and expect to win. So I blame us as coaches, for putting our guys in that situation. That's inexcusable. That should not have happened.
Man, that's a play that can't happen. That's a play that right now you look back on and, man, if we don't allow that, especially in the playoffs, situations like that, we can't give up, a big play.
But they did, and they lost. All right, still much more to come here on Sunday Sports Night Cover 2. Up next, Jason, Rob, and Mark and their reaction. Not that one, Jason, to today's loss. We're back in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back to Cover 2. Time now to go on the clock, the finale. Please say hello to Rob Demoski, ESPN.com up top. Mark Daniels, WTAQ, WTAQ.com there in your lower right. And Jason Wilde of ESPN Wisconsin, the State Journal, and The Athletic. I thought I would do it formally, Jason, since this is our last show together. All right, gentlemen, we'll start with you, Rob. Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the Packers. They do it to them twice this year, but I ask you, more of a bad day or just a bad matchup for this Packers team, Rob?
Yes. And yes. No, we talked about the speed, right, of their defense. Well, today it was the power of their defense up front. And obviously, really missing David Bakhtiari because, Rick Wagner struggled with Shaq Barrett. Wagner wouldn't be in if Bakhtiari was there, all that on down the line. But at some point, when you're in one of these NFC Championship games, you just have to play better. You know, like, I mean, they played poorly in these games, and that's why they haven't won one. They just need to play better.
Mark?
Yeah, I think some guys flinched today. Players flinched. Kevin King flinched. Rick Wagner did. EQ on the 2. Will Redmond on the drop. And quite honestly, I thought Matt LaFleur really flinched as well. Those 2 series after the Jair interceptions were odd calls, and obviously we'll get to it, I'm sure, but 1st and goal at the 8, and it just didn't happen. The gold zone lost its luster today as well.
Sure did. Jason?
Yeah, Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions, should have thrown 4. He gave them every opportunity to win this game. Obviously, the 2 interceptions by Jair not leading to points. The only area where I thought the Buccaneers were clearly superior was in their pass rush against the Packers' offensive line, and they could have overcome that. I don't think it was a bad matchup or a bad day. I think Rob's right. They just didn't play well enough at certain points in the game and then made a couple of debatable coaching decisions.
All right, well, let's start with that big debatable coaching decision. They go for the field goal, 2 on 9 to go, left in the game, down 8 points. They had a 1st and goal at the 8. They didn't move the ball at all, so 4th and goal from the 8. They go for the field goal. They had 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. That was his explanation. Jason, are you buying the explanation?
Yeah, I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers' line that he said about how I understood the reasoning. Yes, with 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, showing faith in your defense, I get that. I also get the fact that they had 2 1st and goal to 4th and goal situations that they failed to score on, right? 3 incompletions, 3 more incompletions. So I understand it. I just don't like the idea of taking the ball out of the MVP's hands. The problem is when you drop the 2-point conversion earlier, the field goal there doesn't help you at all really anyway,
you
right?
Still need a
because
touchdown.
You still have to score a touchdown to win.
Rob?
Yeah, I have the biggest problem with going for 2, which I've always had a problem with. You don't do it until you have to, because that 1 point, everyone says, well, that 1 point's not going to matter. Well, that 1 point mattered for a couple of reasons. One, LaFleur said, he goes, not only would we have needed to get the touchdown, but we needed to convert the 2-point conversion. Well, not if you had kicked the extra point in the 3rd quarter, you wouldn't have. So to me, it was just, it's one mistake that was compounded potentially by another. It just, to me, it all goes back to 2 things. Never go for 2 until there's 8 minutes left in the game, and always foul when you're up 3 with under 10 seconds to go in a basketball game.
Don't give it away that we're going to come back with cover 2 for basketball, Rob. That's still under wraps. Mark?
You know, I think if they would have gained any yardage on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down, he would have been more apt to go for it on 4th down. But even going and failing on 4th down, I think the Bucs would have been just a tad more conservative starting from their 8. Granted, they had it only at the 17 or 18 after that kickoff, and he took a knee basically on the return. They still converted the 1st down, but I think it would have been a little different and giving your defense maybe a chance to keep them backed up, and then you get it at midfield.
Yeah, I still think you keep it in Aaron Rodgers' hands. And maybe if he runs it on 3rd down, he may not get in, but he might be an awful lot closer to make you go for it for a touchdown there. All right, earlier in the week, Rodgers called his future, I think, a beautiful mystery. Is it a little less mysterious now after his post-game comments? We'll start with you, Jason.
Oh, I think it's more mysterious. Look, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're the MVP of the league. You have 3 years left on your deal. They've drafted your replacement. Do you want the Packers to bring you back next year as kind of a lame duck quarterback, right? Because, you know, you're probably going to move on from him then after the 2021 season. Look, he would never go to me for advice. But here's what I would say. I would say you go to Goody and say, hey, look, if you want me to be the quarterback here and prove to me that I matter still to this organization, I would like you to take my base salary, convert it to signing bonus, push it out the next 2 years, and that way you save cap space and you commit to me for 2021 and 2022, and I'm going to play just like I did this year for you. If that doesn't happen, I say you want to be traded.
If that happens, Jason, you're going to get a monster percentage. Rob?
You know what, Chris? I got into trouble once before for speculating on what Rodgers might be thinking, even though that's not what I really did, but Brady Papinga said it was. So if Brady Papinga says it is, then it must be true. I don't know what to make of it, other than I think he wants to be wanted, right? I mean, like we all do. And like Jason said, maybe that's the best way for them to show it.
That's interesting. That's kind of how the last quarterback left the building, wanting to be wanted. Mark?
You know, I'm going to go back to all the quarterbacks Ron Wolf drafted as Brett Favre was winning 3 MVPs in a row. And, you know, they played these guys in the preseason and found some trade value for them to extend Favre even a little more. I have a feeling they might try and do that again with Aaron Rodgers. I cannot see giving this guy up. He is playing at an extremely high level, and he thought until 40. You know what? I'm kind of thinking I'd like to see him at 40 in green and gold.
Matt LaFleur's answer to that would be hell yeah. That was his answer when he asked if wanted him back. All right, gentlemen, let's go with what I heard. Rob, we'll start with you, then to Mark, then to Jason.
Yeah, other than the, hell yes or whatever it was, to me, what LaFleur's most telling comment was the clip that I think you played in the last segment about what happened on the play at the end of the half, and it was man coverage, and that's the wrong call. Like, I've not ever heard a coach, not just LaFleur, anyone throw a coordinator under the bus like that. And that tells me that I think there's serious questions now about whether LaFleur is going to fire Mike Pettin, because I don't know how you say that and then go back to work with him.
Interesting. And remember, that call was out of a timeout. It wasn't like things were scrambled on the field. Mark?
Yeah, back-to-back timeouts. They had 2 minutes, 2 30-second timeouts to talk that over, and they still could get it right. I heard Lucas Patrick almost start crying about how badly they wanted it for Aaron Rodgers tonight. And Mercedes, and even Tremont, who didn't even get on the field, unfortunately. So there goes that little bit of NFL trivia. But it was raw emotion from a lot of guys, understandably so. But this is as close as they've been in a long time, and I don't know if they're going to get this close again.
Jason?
First of all, I hate to agree with Rob, but I thought the exact same thing with the way that LaFleur said that about the defense. That struck me immediately when it came out of his mouth. Look, I said this on Twitter, and I am still being crucified there. I thought Aaron Rodgers sounded like a guy saying goodbye. He thanked the media at the end, which he never has done before. And here's the thing. I talked to him earlier in the week. Like Rob, I got Tom Fanning set me up with a phone call. Last time when Rob talked to him, he was stopping for Dom Perignon. When he talked to me, he was stopping for gas. But he told me that when he saw Ted Thompson the last 2 times, he said goodbye and he hugged him and told him he loved him because he didn't know if he was going to see Ted again. That's how concerned he was about Ted's health. I think, while not life or death, he did that tonight. He basically said his goodbyes, and if he's not coming back and something happens this offseason, he has said his goodbyes. I'm not saying he won't be back, but that is what he sounded like.
Okay. Let's move on to ad-libs, and we'll go around the horn. We'll go with Rob, Mark, and Jason, and we're going to touch on what you just touched on, Rob. Mike Pettin deserves blank of the blame today.
Deserves or will get. He's going to get a lot. Not sure how much of it he deserves, though.
Outside of the one play you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot. I saw LaFleur go 30 yards down the sideline to scream at Pettin when it was another Chinese fire drill getting players on and off the field. There was too much of that.
He's going to get more than Kevin King, but Kevin King should get more than him.
His players let him down today for sure, several of them anyway, including perhaps these guys, the Smith brothers, blank, Rob.
Seem to disappear in NFC championship games.
They were blocked.
Played?
Question mark. The stat line's pretty small today. The pass interference on Kevin King was blank, Rob.
Pass interference, but so were some of the other things that were let go earlier in the game.
Mark?
Yeah, it was PI in week 11. In a game like this where nobody bothered, their hands were too cold to throw flags. They threw it there. It was stunning.
Jason?
Inconsistent with the way the game had been called to that point.
Thank you for your brevity. Last one. Blank will be the biggest name not to return. Rob?
Rob Domofsky.
Oh, man.
We can only hope.
Mark?
Aaron Jones.
Jason?
I feel like I have to say Aaron Rodgers now, even though I'm not sure that that's the case.
All right. Well, that is an answer nonetheless, and that wraps it up for us on this season, gentlemen. As always, we appreciate your insight, your entertainment, your brains, and sometimes even your beauty. We appreciate it very much. All right. We'll be back to wrap up Cover 2 right after this. Well, we want to thank you for joining us this season on Cover 2. We certainly wish we had a few more Cover 2s to go this year, but we do not. So I want to thank everybody that's been a part of this. Jason, Rob, and Mark, of course, Dave and Bailey for their hard work, our outstanding producer, Matt Hippis, and production crew, Jason Romont and Kip Sowers. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.